Once upon a time, in a faraway land, where lush green valleys met the bright blue sky, there lived a beautiful girl in a small village. Her name was Cinderella. With her golden hair, sky-blue eyes, and delicate hands as soft as rose petals, she captivated everyone who saw her. However, Cinderella's life had turned into a nightmare because of her stepmother and stepsisters. Her stepmother was a grim and cruel woman, and her daughters were just as jealous and mean-spirited. They forced Cinderella to live in the darkest corner of the house, surrounded by ashes and dust, and made her do the heaviest chores. Cinderella would wake up at the first light of dawn and work until late at night. Her hands were calloused, and her face was covered in soot. Yet, she never lost hope. One day, news spread across the kingdom. The prince was hosting a ball to find a bride. All the young women in the land were invited. Cinderella wanted to go to the ball, but her stepmother and stepsisters refused to let her. They mocked her, saying, "You? Go to the ball? In your sooty, dusty state?" They did everything they could to humiliate her. Cinderella, in tears, retreated to her room. Just then, a beam of light shone from the dim corner of the room. Out of the light emerged a fairy godmother with silver hair and sparkling eyes. She was Cinderella's guardian. "Don't cry, dear Cinderella," said the fairy godmother. "I will take you to the ball." The fairy godmother waved her magic wand, and Cinderella's old, tattered dress transformed into a dazzling gown adorned with pearls and diamonds. Her hair shimmered like a crown, woven with golden threads, and on her feet she wore glass slippers that sparkled like stars. "But remember," warned the fairy godmother, "when the clock strikes midnight, all the magic will disappear." With the fairy godmother's help, Cinderella set off for the royal palace. When she entered the palace, all eyes turned to her. Even the prince was mesmerized by her beauty. They danced and talked all night, and Cinderella had never been so happy in her life. However, as the clock began to strike midnight, Cinderella's heart raced. Remembering the fairy godmother's warning, she panicked and fled from the palace. As she ran down the stairs, one of her glass slippers fell off. Cinderella couldn't stop to retrieve it. She kept running. The prince chased after her, but couldn't catch her. All he found was the sparkling glass slipper on the stairs. Determined to find its owner, the prince sent messengers across the kingdom, announcing that every young woman must try on the slipper. Days passed, but no one could fit into the slipper. Finally, the messengers arrived at Cinderella's village. Her stepmother and stepsisters eagerly tried on the slipper, but it didn't fit either of them. Just then, Cinderella appeared, covered in dust and ashes. The prince recognized her. "Who is this?" asked the stepmother. "She's our servant," replied the stepsisters. The prince ordered Cinderella to try on the slipper, and it fit her perfectly. The prince took Cinderella to the palace and proposed to her. Cinderella was overjoyed. Her stepmother and stepsisters, however, were consumed with envy. Cinderella and the prince married in a grand wedding and lived happily ever after. Cinderella became an example of kindness and compassion for the entire kingdom. This translation preserves the essence and meaning of the original story while adapting it into English. The themes of hope, kindness, and the triumph of good over evil remain intact.